Welcome back to episode 24 of the Meander Travel Podcast. Today we're diving into a topic that is bound to spark some debate. Are you a tourist or a traveler?
Oh, this is a good one because it's not just about where you go, it's about why and how you go there.
Exactly. So we'll unpack the intent behind the travel, the mindset that shapes our experiences, and maybe even help you figure out which type you are.
So whether you're all about the bucket list landmarks and backstreet cafes, this episode's for you.
So grab your mega suitcase or your carry-on backpack because this one might make you rethink how you travel. Wheels up.
We're gonna be two hearts running wild.
Before we get into it, let's tell you exactly where we are in the world. We are on a converted longboat in Little Venice in the canals of London, UK.
Yep.
This longboat, the Boat Pod, is a converted recording studio, so it's very cool. We were here last year in London, and we saw this boat as we were walking by when we were walking from Notting Hill.
Which Tony's in love with, by the way.
I love Notting Hill.
Seriously.
And we thought if we could ever get back to London, we should record there. So we are here again this fall, and we booked it, and we are here. And this is our third podcast that we're recording here today with them.
Yep. Do you like our outfit change?
Yes. But if you didn't notice, don't mind the clock in the background. This is a totally different day. We're recording
Yeah. What are you talking about?
in a different outfit.
We've been here for weeks.
So let's start with, let's get into it here. Let's start with why people travel. And for tourists, it's often about leisure, fun, and a break from the everyday grind, that need to get away from it all.
Yeah, right. It's a recharge or it's a chance to escape and enjoy. But for travelers, so they're usually something deeper. So it's maybe more for curiosity or personal growth, maybe even transformation.
I like the word transformation. A tourist seeks comfort. A traveler seeks change.
Okay. That's true. And maybe it's not just about judging one or the other. It's not one is worse or one is better. It's just knowing what you want out of a trip before you go. We're still trying to figure this out sometimes.
We are. We're constantly, it's not like it's shaping what we do, but it is something that we think about often is we are in both these worlds. And let's just make this very clear. Before we get into this, we don't believe that one is better than the other. There is no winning like, oh, I'm a tourist or I'm a traveler. It's just the way you travel and who you are as a person going through this world and exploring things.
And this is a different podcast for us. It is a topic that we just wanted to kind of explore a little bit deeper. So we're kind of just going off track from, just giving you a destination info. And we're kind of discussing a little bit more, a different kind of topic.
Like, how do you travel?
Yeah. So let's talk style. How do we approach the trip? So a tourist would probably love a little bit more structure. You're setting an itinerary, maybe you're taking guided tours, you're seeing all the famous landmarks.
Yes, that's the must-see list. Like, you have to see it. For me, a map with my pins on it or a pre-booked photo op so that you know that you're going to go see something.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. You got a lot of those. You should see his maps and his pins. It's crazy. But there's nothing wrong with that. But maybe travelers would be considered a little bit more flexible. Maybe they don't look at that map. Maybe they ditch the plan altogether, or maybe they never even had a plan. Maybe they follow a local's tip on what they should go and see or do. Or maybe they just wander around looking for an authentic experience.
So tourists collect photos while travelers collect experiences.
Okay, and sometimes the best memories happen when you step away from your itinerary.
So are we thinking, we are so set in both these. Our feet are firmly in both camps.
Yeah, because I feel like you can kind of do both in both. Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah, so one of the biggest differences between those two is maybe how you connect with the destination.
Tourists might stay in the resorts and follow the crowd kind of things. Go where you get on the tour bus and go do the same thing that everybody else does because they just want to escape, a nice easy escape. They get to go see it and they get to go do it with the rest of everybody else. Fun, safe, predictable.
Okay. And maybe travelers dive a little bit deeper. So maybe they're, again, talking with the locals. Maybe they're exploring and trying new foods that maybe you wouldn't do otherwise. And then they probably say yes to unexpected invitations that are totally off track.
That's where travel becomes more than sightseeing. It becomes soul seeing.
Soul seeing. Okay, that's deep. Okay. Well, that's the kind of travel that changes you long after you've unpacked your bags. And I would argue that those are the memories that might stay with you a little bit stronger. Like those experiences probably, I don't know, ring more true. Possibly.
What about duration and length of a trip? Does that matter? Another clear difference is how long you stay somewhere.
Yeah.
Are you a tourist often, have like a week or two or maybe even a weekend, and then they have to head back to their day-to-day routines?
Okay, well, we just have been down that recently, but travelers might spend months, weeks, months, I don't know, a long time. And they get to settle in, they get to shop at the same market, they get to meet people, they get to learn local rhythms and habits. It's a different kind of experience that way.
But even on a short trip, you can have the traveler style if you go with an open mindset and do some unique things.
Sure, it doesn't always have to be how long you stay. It could be about how deeply you are experiencing the place that you're in.
What about the matter of perspective now? Let's talk about that.
So let's clear up the technical side. Like officially, a traveler is anyone moving between places. And a tourist is a traveler who stays overnight.
So technically, every tourist is a traveler, but not every traveler is a tourist.
You can tell this was Tony's idea for
I
podcast
love
because
this.
it's very philosophical.
Yes.
He was a philosophy major, and he really likes to get to the meat and bones of a topic, and let's dissect this. And
what are we?
I'm trying to wrap my head around this a little bit, but I don't know. They're both. In everyday language, we use traveler to mean someone authentic and adventurous, and a tourist is just someone that's doing the expected. Is that kind of what we're saying here?
Yeah. Which isn't really fair, because every traveler starts as a tourist at some point, and they maybe change and go into becoming a traveler as they have been more worldly, and they've done a lot of hey, I've gone to see the Eiffel Tower, I've gone and seen, the Vatican, and I've done the same thing that everybody else has done, and now all of a sudden they're like, now I want to go and spend a month in a small town in Italy and get to know the people, and it's a little different. And maybe you don't do that on your first trip to Italy because you want to see the sights that everybody else has seen, and you haven't seen them yet because you don't know if you're ever going to get back to Italy. And we still live in that world sometimes when we travel. If we go to a new country and we haven't been there, we're going to sit there and make sure we go see the same cookie cutter points that everybody else is going to, because we don't know if we're going to ever go back to that country again.
Yeah. I think that there are days within a trip that you are a tourist, and there are days that you're a traveler. I mean, I think you can have both all in the same weekend, perhaps. Some days where you're checking off the bucket list and doing all the things that every other American does when they go rushing to a foreign city. I got to say this, blah, blah, blah. And then maybe your next day, you don't have a plan and you are just relaxing and you are talking to the locals and you're exploring and going off on a adventure. And it is, I think, really hard to get you to do that. You very much have your phone in your hand with your maps, and you want to know exactly where you are at all times, and you want to know which direction we're heading and what's there. And because you pin things so often, you want to know, are we coming up on a pin that we might want to see? And part of me really appreciates that, because you've pinned really cool things. And it would be a shame if we were only a block away from something really spectacular that, oh man, we were right there, we could have missed it. But on the other hand, I can't get you to put that thing away. And sometimes I just want to wander. What if we just go down this other street and we come across something else totally spectacular that we wouldn't have found because you didn't have it pinned?
It's a dilemma. It's part of the discussion as to why, what that makes the difference between these two. There's an overlap.
And I think too, sometimes it's a matter of, I don't even know how I want to say it.
Do you aspire to be one or the other?
I think I not expire. That's a different
You
word.
aspire.
I aspire to be a traveler, but I also think that's a luxury. that if you've seen a lot of the things, then you have the opportunity to slow down and maybe soak it in. Whereas for much of our life, we only had so much vacation time when we were younger. So we kind of had to make do with what we had and see as much as we could in that amount of time. And for Americans, this is our problem, right? We travel very far away and you want to fit in as much as you can while you're there because you might not get back and it's expensive to get there. So it's tricky. I feel both sides and
But that's because we've traveled a lot. I
know,
think there's
we're
a
very
lot of
lucky.
people that even if they have traveled a lot, still would prefer the tourist. They don't want to do the things that you and I aspire to do and get to become more like a traveler, is that they would actually rather go to a resort and sit on a beach and have somebody cater to them and go see the touristy spot. And they want to do that. And that's all they ever want to do, never aspiring to try and become the quote unquote traveler. Because
Well,
that's just
okay.
easy. And that's what I mean, is that's okay. I'm like you. I think I aspire to be a traveler, but I definitely have my feet grounded in both worlds because we're still traveling to new places. So when we go to a new place, we definitely gotta see the things that we're
also
supposed to see.
maybe to be a traveler, you have to be really interested in sociology and history
Which we are.
and anthropology. You want to understand peoples, you want to understand places, you want to understand the history of those places. Not everybody cares about that stuff. But can you still connect with the locals and the environment that you're in without learning all those things? Can you still just on a humanity level connect with people and become a traveler because of that connection?
Possibly.
Yeah, I don't know.
Why don't you bring
So-
us into the last segment
So what's
here?
the takeaway?
Yeah.
I mean, most of us are both of these things. And sometimes, depending on your mood and maybe what's going on in your life, you just want a 5-star resort where you want to be pampered. I don't know if we've ever stayed in a 5-star resort, by the way.
We have, but it was
The company
probably on a discount, or else we got paid from somebody else.
I mean, let's be clear. We're not that kind of traveler.
No.
We're not using our vacation dollars to stay in 5-star resorts unless they were being paid for us. No, that's not us. But yeah, maybe sometimes you want a nice vacation where you are just relaxing, sitting on a beach. I don't know. A homestay in a tiny village or something.
Yep, for us and for me personally, I think that it's about balance. Maybe you start your trip as a tourist, but come home a little bit more like a traveler. Once you're there, you got to do some things that you weren't expecting.
And you know, here's what I will say too. I do think it's interesting when you meet people from around the world and you become friends. If that enables you to visit them again, or because you became friendly with somebody, you get to learn more about their life and what it's like to live, where they're at, that is a really amazing part of the travel experience, which definitely is not tourist. That would fall under traveler. But I think almost anybody would appreciate that, making those connections. And
Oh, I don't know. Some people don't like when you and I meet people on a trip and we say, we're Facebook friends and we're going to go see them again next time. That cringes people out, other people. They're like, why were you talking to people you don't know on your trip?
we are meeting with somebody tomorrow morning.
Yes, we're having
for
breakfast tomorrow.
with somebody that we met 30 years ago at a Mexican beach resort.
Well, it wasn't
And-
30 years. It was 30 years.
You're right, not 30 years ago. Okay,
It was like 18 years ago.
20? Yeah, okay. A long time ago. Met them on a vacation where we all happened to be in the same place
In
at the
Mexico.
same
He
time.
was 16.
Just became friends and have stayed friends. And last year when we were here, we went to the Vikings game together, and it's been a really fun relationship.
He lives
Just
in
keeping
London
in
here.
contact, and that's super cool.
Yeah. He lives in London here with his wife and he's got a kid. And now we're going to go have breakfast with him again tomorrow.
But you can be that person as a tourist too.
I don't know.
Okay.
It's all in how you look at it.
Well, it's an opportunity to learn about yourself. You can kind of think about, like, how do we travel and what's important to us and what do we want to do and what should we carve out time for, or how should we change things up a little bit to make our experiences more authentic.
It's not a competition either. It can be either
No,
one. And you
for
should
sure.
be happy with whatever you do and don't ever second guess or question why you're doing what you're doing, because just live in the moment and say, hey, I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah,
Whether you're snapping selfies at the Eiffel Tower or
we're guilty of that.
we're guilty of that, or sharing grappa with locals in Italy, and we're guilty of that. You're exploring, and that's what really matters.
So if you had to choose one, are you a tourist then or a traveler?
currently firmly a bit of both, I believe, and that's okay with me. I hope it is with you too. I think that we're in the sweet spot right now, where we're at in our lives. Maybe in the future, as we travel more for extended periods of time, like we did this last year in Italy, I think that, when we were there for a month, that was very much traveler, and we got to live that way. I think that we will find ourselves doing more of that in the future, and that would be great. That's something I hope we're aspiring to do, but whatever comes, I'm just going to be happy the way it comes. So I'll take either way.
I feel a little bit of both, and when you said Italy, it reminded me when we were in Italy years ago, and we were in that little town of Vernassa, and we were there for 3 nights, and we had a great time there. But I distinctly remember sitting on a little stoop, and we would watch like all the day travelers just crush off the train into the town and spread through everything like crazy.
2-3 hours,
and then at the end of later in the afternoon, they would file back out again, and it got all nice and quiet, and you could walk down the streets without being totally slamming into people, and we felt very special. Like we felt more like locals, even though we were only there for 3 nights. So we were 3-day locals.
3-day locals.
And I feel like that's sometimes kind of nice when you're at least in a spot where you can unpack your bags for a little bit and feel like you can soak up your environment a little bit more than a tourist just rushing into a town, seeing it real quick, and then rushing back out again.
Yeah, the epitome of tourist to me is cruise ship.
That's true.
That is like the very far end, and the other one is like almost moving into a place to live.
Yep, those are 2 opposite ends of the spectrum.
For traveler.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Well, we appreciate you joining us for this week's episode of the Meander Travel Podcast. We know this one was a little bit different. We just wanted to have a discussion today.
Short, very short and sweet, but we'd love to hear your thoughts. Are you team tourist or team traveler? Drop us a message on our socials. You know where they're all at. And tell us, or maybe just tell us your best off the beaten path story of if you're a traveler. We'd love to hear those ones, because maybe we'll try and...
those are exciting stories.
And make it.
Yeah. And wherever you're headed next, wheels up!